This is part 2, episode 92. Little White, where is Uncle? Ju Yu was sitting on Little White's back with a bunch of fruits in her hands. Little White shook his big head and let out a growl in response. Ever since Ju Yu had woken up 1 year ago, she hadn't seen Wang Lin. Only Little White accompanied her. Little White was currently carrying Ju Yu as they walked through a mountain range. At this moment, the ground suddenly began to tremble. Little White let out a low growl as he backed up a couple dozen feet. The ground began to shake even more violently, and then suddenly a life form that looked like a worm, but countless times larger, sprang out of the ground. It let out a roar and pointed its head at Ju Yu. The part of this creature that was above ground was already over 100 feet tall. Its entire body was red and had bamboo-like sections. It looked very terrifying. There was no fear on Ju Yu's face though, instead, there was some excitement. She threw the fruits away, hit Little White's head, and said, "Little White, you have to look carefully, whether we can find Uncle or not depends on this." Little White rolled his eyes and let out a roar at the giant worm. The more than 100 feet long worm moved. It opened its large mouth and charged toward Ju Yu. It moved very fast and they could smell its fishy breath as it approached. There were also countless sharp teeth in its mouth. If one were to get caught by that mouth, there wouldn't be any bones left. There wasn't any trace of fear in Ju Yu's face. She instead became more and more excited. Her large eyes weren't even looking at the giant worm, and instead she raised her head to look at the sky. Even Little White didn't retreat another step. There was a hint of mockery in his eyes. Just at the moment that the giant worm charged forth, a giant figure appeared in the sky. This figure let out a humming sound and then arrived beside Ju Yu at an unimaginable speed. It was a giant mosquito. Its sharp mouth quickly stabbed into the worm. With a swing, the worm's entire body was dragged out from underground and thrown into the air. At this moment, the mosquito moved again, and in a flash stabbed its sharp mouth into the head of the worm. Then all of the worm's blood was sucked dry by the mosquito. The mosquito threw the worm to the side, then he looked at Ju Yu and Little White before flying off into the distance. Ju Yu quickly shouted, "Little White, chase, quickly, chase." Little White didn't hesitate, and immediately started running. Wang Lin let out the mosquito beast 1 year ago to protect Ju Yu. He didn't want to see Ju Yu, but he wouldn't just leave her alone on this dangerous moon. During this past year, the mosquito had saved Ju Yu countless times. At first Ju Yu was scared of the mosquito, but now she felt a sense of familiarity toward him. Whenever she saw him, it was like she was seeing Wang Lin. She had no memory of what happened 1 year ago, and she also had no memory of having a nascent soul in her body. It was as if it had never happened. Wang Lin wiped away those memories when he returned her soul to her body. Ju Yu was an innocent child. She shouldn't have to suffer for Li Muwen's failed awakening. Wang Lin wasn't the type to blame others in anger, and he wanted to let her live a full life. However, Wang Lin's heart was still thinking about what happened 1 year ago, so he didn't want to face Ju Yu. This feeling was very complicated for him. Ju Yu felt very bad for not being able to see Uncle, so she started her journey to find him. The moon was very small to Wang Lin, but very big to her. During this year, she and Little White had traveled across more than half of the moon. Although she hadn't seen Wang Lin once, she felt like she was getting closer to her uncle. Unfortunately, Little White was far too slow compared to the mosquito, so the mosquito's figure soon disappeared into the distance. However, Ju Yu knew that the moment she meets danger again, that big mosquito will rush over. HMPH, that big mosquito flies too fast. Little White, you're too slow. Ju Yu pouted as she looked into the sky. Little White let out a roar filled with grievance. He thought, that mosquito is flying in the sky. If it were running on the ground, I'd definitely be faster. Ju Yu was about to continue speaking when a gentle breeze landed on her, sending a surge of warmth through her body. Ju Yu was startled as she looked around and whispered, "Little White, don't you think this is strange? Every 3 to 5 days there is this warm breeze. Each time it lands on me, I feel warmth travel through my whole body, and then I won't feel hungry even if I don't eat. Little White shook his head, and let out a low growl as a response. Zhu Yu's journey continued. What she didn't know was that Wang Lin was at the top of the mountain, with his divine sense withdrawn. During this past year, although he had gone crazy, he didn't forget about Zhu Yu's safety. He would spread out his divine sense every few days to check on Zhu Yu's condition, and then send some spiritual energy into her body to prevent her from getting hungry. Wang Lin raised his head toward the sky. His eyes were currently very bright. Wang Lin had never had this type of gaze before. It was a gaze that could penetrate the heart and see through life and death. So the domain of life and death is like this. The things in this world, if I want to control them, then I can. Wang Lin's right hand reached forth, and all the clouds before him gathered toward his palm. Soon, a small ball made of clouds appeared in his hand. This ball of clouds was filled with lightning. Feeling the immense power inside the ball, Wang Lin let out a deep breath. Although this ball of clouds couldn't destroy the heavens, it could kill any soul formation cultivator. If the soul transformation Li Yuanfeng were to revive, he would be destroyed by this ball as well. The life and death domain has reached completion, and my cultivation has broken through the soul formation stage. I only need one more step to reach the soul transformation stage. I have already taken half of that step. Wang Lin waved his right hand and the ball of clouds disappeared. I need to prepare to reach the soul transformation stage. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. Soul transformation cultivators can be considered a real powerhouse. It is said that soul transformation cultivators are wanted by many on any cultivation planet. The giant demon clan ancestor was merely at the early stage of soul transformation, but it allowed him to control an entire clan and become their leader. Li Yuanfeng was raised to the soul transformation stage by force, but became the pillar of Shuiyu. One could see the value of a soul transformation cultivator. After all, the ascendant old monsters were always in closed-door cultivation, and there were far too few of them. Thus, soul transformation cultivators become the real backbone of any power. If we put it in the context of the mortal martial arts world, they would be the top-class experts that are admired by everyone. Among cultivators, the significance of these people are amplified by more than 1,000-fold. This was a soul transformation cultivator. Even Qianyun Zi never would have expected that the little cultivator, who he had good a feeling about that was on the edge of the soul formation stage, would be preparing to enter the soul transformation stage only 200 years later. If Qianyun Zi knew this, then Wang Lin wouldn't merely be an honorary disciple for 100 years, he would become a real disciple with certain privileges. Sichu, once I reach the soul transformation stage, I'll have the power to awaken you. Wang Lin took a deep breath as he pointed at his brow. Shortly after, his body began to disappear as he went inside the heaven-defying bead. Inside the heaven-defying bead, Sichu Nan's large soul was floating there. Wang Lin appeared next to it and silently stared at it. After absorbing the two arms, Sichu Nan's soul was no longer transparent, it was now more solid. His soul gave off a powerful pressure. This pressure was several times stronger than ancestor Du Qian's. Sichu, Wang Lin silently stared at Sichu Nan for a very long time, before taking a step and appearing in the eastern part of the heaven-defying bead. There was another nascent soul here. However, this nascent soul's eyes were closed as if she were sleeping. She was surrounded by spirit liquid that continuously entered her soul to provide her with energy. Wang Lin's eyes became gentle. The spirit liquid surrounding was the dew from the heaven-defying bead. Wang Lin had gathered this dew over the past year. Its purpose was to help repair Li Muwen's nascent soul, and with the passage of time, it will make her nascent soul even stronger. You waited for me for 300 years. I, Wang Lin, have no way to repay you. I'll protect your nascent soul until you awaken, until my death. Wang Lin looked at Li Muwen's nascent soul for a very long time. If everything I do can be exchanged for a chance at a miracle, then I'll wait 1 year, 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, until my death. Wang Lin looked tenderly at Li Muwen as memories of the past flashed across his mind. Memories are like water in your palm. It doesn't matter whether you have your hand open, or if it's holding it tightly, it will still leak drop by drop until it's all gone. However, the coolness of the water is unforgettable. Wang Lin walked up and gently kissed her forehead. His warmth was slowly transmitted to Wan. Wan's body trembled. She felt Wang Lin's lips and his warmth. This warmth contained an unerasable joy, a silent call, and a sense of protection that will never fade. Love is like a river. The left shore is the joyous laughter that can brighten up 1,000 years of sadness, and the right shore is an eternal silence lingering under the candlelight. What flows between them is years of fading loneliness. Wang Lin turned around and left the heaven-defying bead. Although he left the heaven-defying bead, his heart remained there for all of eternity. On the top of the mountain, under the starlight in the middle of the night, the lonely figure under the rain seems like it is about to be shattered by the wind. The uncertain sadness is what always gets blown away by the wind, but the loneliness of having no family or friends is the fire that the wind can never extinguish. The lonely figure raised his well-structured face to face the darkness in the sky, to face the brightness of the stars. There he saw the figure of a woman that will forever remain in his heart. Zhu Yu's journey to find Uncle continued. She had no idea why Uncle left, so she wanted to find Wang Lin and ask him for the reason. At this moment, Wang Lin was on top of a mountain with all of the celestial jades he owned on the ground around him. While sitting in the middle of the circle, he put aside all other thoughts in his mind and concentrated on cultivating. The current Wang Lin's cultivation level had reached the peak of the soul formation stage, and his domain had reached completion, so now he needed to break through to the soul transformation stage. The soul transformation stage is a goal all cultivators pursue. Once they reach the soul transformation stage, their domains can materialize, causing its power to reach an unimaginable degree. Aside from that, they will be able to absorb celestial spiritual energy. This means that all of their techniques and spells will contain celestial spiritual energy, making them infinitely more powerful. In ancient times, before the celestial realm collapsed, a soul transformation cultivator wasn't a rare sight. However, now that the celestial realm has collapsed, a soul transformation cultivator is a powerhouse. The key to breaking through from the soul formation stage to the soul transformation stage is the amount of celestial jades. The more celestial jades there are, the more dense the celestial spiritual energy will be, and therefore the chance of breaking through to the soul transformation will be higher. Of course, one's domain plays a large role in reaching the soul transformation stage as well. If one's domain doesn't reach completion, then that person will have no hopes of ever reaching the soul transformation stage. Comprehension of the laws of the heavens is of great importance for a soul transformation cultivator. Wang Lin's comprehension of the heavens' law was different from others. After seeing that the heavens messenger was an ancient god, he developed a hint of doubt. What is the heavens' law? Wang Lin's earlier understanding was that the heavens' law was a natural law that has always existed, like the law of destruction. No one can replace the heavens' law. Cultivators merely go against the heavens' law and break free from it. No one thinks that they can replace or control the heavens' law. However, after Wang Lin saw the ancient god, his understanding of the heavens' law underwent a subtle change. There was a mystery before him, but with his current understanding, he couldn't comprehend all of it. Heaven's law, interesting. Wang Lin's eyes sparkled. He took a deep breath and opened all the pores in his body to absorb the celestial spiritual energy from the celestial jades around him. When Wang Lin went to the celestial realm, he was able to obtain quite a few celestial jades. These celestial jades became the driving force for Wang Lin to reach the soul transformation stage. At this moment, a powerful surge of celestial spiritual energy entered Wang Lin's body. Compared to the last few times he absorbed celestial spiritual energy, it was a lot less painful this time. The celestial spiritual energy surged into him and suppressed the spiritual energy in his body. The two different forces were like fire and water as they began a life and death battle in his body. Wang Lin's body had a lot of spiritual energy, so at first, when only a bit of celestial spiritual energy entered his body, it was immediately beaten back. However, as time passed and more celestial spiritual energy entered his body, the spiritual energy could no longer hold the celestial spiritual energy back. Although there was still much more spiritual energy than celestial spiritual energy, the difference in quality was too high. A strand of celestial spiritual energy was equal to all of the spiritual energy of a core formation cultivator. As a result, the spiritual energy was naturally pushed back. When a soul formation cultivator becomes a soul transformation cultivator, their spiritual energy will go through one of two types of changes. The first one is all the spiritual energy is pushed out of one's body, and then, when it contains only celestial spiritual energy, the body transformations and breaks through to the soul transformation. This method is relatively easy, and it's what most cultivators choose to do. However, all of that spiritual energy is wasted and will have to be cultivated back. Also, their cultivation at the early stage of soul transformation ends up being unstable. This method also requires a cultivator to go into closed-door cultivation for 100 years to adjust their body. The second method is to refine the spiritual energy in one's body until it reaches the same quality as celestial spiritual energy. This method is very difficult, as the spiritual energy needs to be refined constantly. But once it succeeds, it gives one a great advantage during the early stage of soul transformation. One won't need to go into closed-door cultivation for 100 years, and they will still have the same result. The advantage of the second method is to save 100 years of closed-door cultivation, and naturally this increases cultivation speed by a lot. Wang Lin chose the second method. After all, he didn't have the time to go into 100 years of closed-door cultivation. The spiritual energy in his body was being compressed by the celestial spiritual energy. The compressed spiritual energy then slowly gathered at this dantian. Next, celestial spiritual energy would course through the veins around his dantian. This was a process of transformation. The celestial spiritual energy was like a mill grinding the spiritual energy inside Wang Lin's body to refine it to the point that it could fuse with the celestial spiritual energy. This process was very slow. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Wang Lin still hadn't moved. 2/3 of the celestial jades around him had turned grey, and some of them had already shattered. Not enough, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened. There seemed to be celestial spiritual energy moving inside his eyes. Right now he looked like a celestial. Although the amount of celestial jades Wang Lin had couldn't compare to what the big sects had, it was still a lot. But looking at it now, it was far from enough to reach the soul transformation stage. He had only gone through 1% of the transformation, and the spiritual energy in his body was only compressed, but hadn't fused yet. Wang Lin muttered to himself, no wonder there are so few soul transformation cultivators. The amount of celestial jades needed to reach the soul transformation stage is something even some big sects can't handle. No wonder. The giant demon clan ancestor used resources from the entire clan, and all of the celestial jades Kai, who had brought back to finally reach the soul transformation stage. This only succeeded because the giant demon clan also had a large stock of celestial jades from when their clan moved to planet Suzaku. In truth, the giant demon clan ancestor could have reached the soul transformation stage a long time ago, but they simply didn't have enough celestial jades. So it was delayed until recently. It has to be said that celestial jades aren't solely used for breaking through the soul formation stage to the soul transformation stage. Once a cultivator is above the soul transformation stage, they need celestial jades to fight, to heal, and even to refine treasures. Rumor has it that the number of celestial jades required to reach the ascendant stage is tens of thousands of times greater than the amount needed to reach the soul transformation stage. Then for the level above that, the amount is just unimaginable. The only place to get celestial jades is the celestial realm. After the celestial realm collapsed, the celestial veins disappeared, causing the amount of celestial jades to be very limited. Thus, one can easily imagine the value of a celestial jade. In the current cultivation world, the more time passes, the fewer high-level cultivators there will be, as it's getting harder to find the resources to cultivate. 1 month later, all of Wang Lin's celestial jades had shattered and there wasn't any more celestial spiritual energy left. He had to stop his absorption. The pagoda has a lot of celestial spiritual energy, but since I promised Ju Yi that I would protect the celestial corpse, I can't have any ideas about the pagoda. Wang Lin stood up and looked into the distance. His divine sense spread out and covered most of the moon. After completing 1% of the conversion, his divine sense was also stronger. The soul refining sect must have a lot of celestial jades saved up. The other sects almost certainly have some as well. I can't ask, so I'll have to steal them. I must reach the soul transformation stage. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and then his body disappeared. Ju Yu was spiritless. While riding on Little White's back, she looked at the vast plain before her. Leaving me all alone here while he went to do God knows what, it's so infuriating. Ju Yu held a fruit in her hand and took a big bite. Little Yu, A familiar voice entered Ju Yu's ears. She was startled and immediately turned around. Behind her, Wang Lin's familiar figure slowly appeared. Uncle. Ju Yu's face was filled with joy as she jumped off Little White. In a few steps, she arrived before Wang Lin and jumped into his arms. Ju Yu was no longer a little girl, the current her was already 20 years old. Uncle, where did you go? You left me all by myself. Ju Yu's eyes turned red. In Wang Lin's eyes, she was still a child. He gently patted her head, and his eyes contained a hint of complex emotion as he smiled. Uncle went out to deal with some matters and now I'm finished. Little Yu, do you miss your parents? I'll take you home. Ju Yu wiped away her tears and happily said, we're going to leave. Okay. Wang Lin looked at Ju Yu. He personally watched this child grow up, just like Da Nyo. He slapped his bag of holding and the pagoda flew out and landed on the side. After Ju Yu saw the pagoda, she pouted and said, Uncle, I remember when I was little I almost starved to death inside the pagoda. Wang Lin waved his right hand and a large amount of fruits from the moon filled the pagoda. After Ju Yu and Little White entered the pagoda, Wang Lin looked toward the sky. A black dot slowly got bigger and bigger until it was revealed to be the mosquito beast. It let out a roar as it landed before Wang Lin with joy in its eyes. Its large mouth licked Wang Lin all over. It clearly missed Wang Lin a lot. Let's go, we are going home. Wang Lin patted the mosquito beast before jumping on its back. The mosquito beast let out a roar, and then it charged into the sky. In the void, Wang Lin took out the star compass and put away the mosquito beast as he flew toward planet Suzaku. Celestial jades. I need celestial jades. Wang Lin's eyes sparkled as the star compass flew toward planet Suzaku like lightning. The moon was never far from planet Suzaku, so after only half a month, planet Suzaku was already before Wang Lin. What's this? Wang Lin frowned after scanning planet Suzaku. He could feel a powerful aura from the planet. This aura came from a giant plant made of black fog. This is the Forsaken Immortal Clan. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he charged into planet Suzaku like a meteor. Breaking through the atmosphere of the planet, the star compass descended as fast as lightning. He saw about 10 cultivators in life and death battles not far away, and he knew one of them. This video will end here.